Good morning, 47. The board has sanctioned Eric Soda's for termination. After Colorado, we did some digging into Soda's private affairs and discovered that he has been fast-tracked for critical heart surgery at the hyper-exclusive Gama Private Hospital in Hokkaido, Japan. Such a display of power has Providence written all over it. Sodas, who suffers from a rare condition known as situs inversus, where his internal organs are reversed, desperately needs a right-sided heart transplant and has clearly betrayed the ICA to get it. He was admitted last night and is currently being prepped for a 3-day surgery. We have booked you into Gama under the usual guise of Tobias Reaper, corporate shark, here for a standard medical checkup. As such, you will need to play it by ear and procure whatever tools you need to complete the mission. You also need to eliminate Yuki Yamazaki, a Tokyo lawyer who works for Providence. Sodas has already given Yamazaki access to our client records and has agreed to provide a full list of active ICA operatives post-operation. This transaction cannot be allowed to happen. Sodas must pay for his treachery, and his insidious employers must be taught a lesson. ICA's sovereignty is at stake. Powerful as Providence may be, we need to draw a line in the sand. I will leave you to prepare.
Hi there, I'm Miguel Concepcion with GameSpot, and I'm here today with Christian Elverdam from IO Interactive to talk about the new Hokkaido map, which is the final chapter of the first season of Hitman. Christian, why don't you tell me about what we get to experience in this new map?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're going to Hokkaido, Japan. It's the very final mission in the first season. We are going to a very remote facility, very advanced facility in Hokkaido, which is a province that is very the nature there is pretty wild. But the resort itself is this shelter, almost this very on the face of it, very luxurious location for only very select sort of patients. You don't really get there unless the Providence group knows you, as we talk about also in the plot and in the briefing for the mission. So 47 has enlisted himself as a patient into this hospital, and he will start as such undercover, and he has to infiltrate the facility to eliminate 2 different targets inside both the hospital and also in the spa and sort of residential area for the patients.
One thing I've really loved about this episodic Hitman game is every map has its own flavor. This map strikes me as a mix of the resort from Bangkok, because it has a very welcoming exterior, and also the lab of the Italy map. I don't know if you can talk more about how you came to this design.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from. I think on the surface it feels friendly, a little bit like Thailand would. Thailand was a real sort of resort, if you will. In this case, I think it's what's going on in the facility itself is illegal, and some of the treatments they're doing are absolutely not approved. Also involves some organ harvesting and sort of more sort of dark, it takes you more dark places. So I think if the feeling we wanted to go for with Hokkaido was more that it feels more restrictive in the beginning, almost like, even though it's super beautiful, you have a very nice vista when you sort of arrive, it could almost feel a little bit like a prison, because as a patient there, you're also we're sort of throwing a curveball at the players. You're obviously starting without any gear at all. You're just admitted to the hospital, right? So you're allowed in a few places. There's a restaurant and a spa area and stuff like that, but then it's actually, you have to make your way. You almost have to break out of your sort of patient role, if you will. So it has some similarities, but it's definitely also somewhat different. Again, we also, just from looking at people how they've been playing the game throughout the season, both with Colorado and Hokkaido, we wanted to sort of shake things up a little bit. So some of the rules that you've grown accustomed to in Hokkaido are changed a little bit. The facility is run by an artificial intelligence, and that affects a lot of things like disguise mechanics, for instance.
Well, given the episodic structure of this game, you've, in a way, the Hokkaido map was, in a way, formed by the feedback and the initial reaction of the Paris map, of the Italy map. Can you talk more about how that has evolved?
Absolutely. I think there are some things that are obviously predetermined. So we knew for a while we were going to Japan and we were going to build a hospital, and the levels take some time to do in the first place. So that stuff we have to know. But the difference is then that the actual way that Colorado or Hokkaido takes shape is built with the confidence we got out of building Paris and Sapienza. So if I look back a little bit, when we were building Paris and Sapienza and they came out sort of for the first time, we were really curious and also somewhat nervous about how would people perceive the Hitman sandbox. It's been 10 years or something, like we really did super complex maps like that. So the first period felt more like watching people and is this going to work? What's going to happen? And I think we were fortunate in the sense that by time of Sapienza, people said we really like Hitman being back to the sort of the classic formula, which meant that then when we looked at Colorado and Hokkaido, we became more self-confident in our ability to play with the formula of the sandbox. So in that sense, with Hokkaido, we allowed ourselves to do things like disguise mechanics that we would not probably have done if we hadn't been live for a while. Or, it's a hospital, so I would say we play a little bit around with one of the targets being in the operating theater, and there are some things, I won't spoil too much, around how you assassinate that target that we simply wouldn't have done necessarily in the same way had we not done the other levels first.
Well, considering this is the concluding chapter and that we know that a second season is on the way, narratively, this tees up the second season without spoiling anything, and the fact that a lot of players, I think at this point, already know that there's this organization called Providence. How would you describe how this tees up the second season?
Well, I think so. What it means for the first season is that in the case of Hokkaido, we're obviously closing the book on one of the characters from the prologue, Eric Sodas, and in this sense, it's we call it the mission Citus and Versus, which is obviously the reverse condition basically, but it's also a nod to the prologue where Eric Sodas is the complete. He's in complete control of 47's fate. Is he going to join the agency? Is he going to be eliminated basically? And as we show in Colorado, Eric Sodas has been a Providence mole for some time, and he's now a target in the final episode, and he's about to undergo surgery, so now he's at the complete mercy of Agent 47, and we have some elements in the level that also play around that. But as is the case with a story that's also meant to span seasons, we also open up some potential doors for the future to come with the final episode and the final cinematic. So specifically for our next season, I mean, we are still at IO. We're just shutting down season 1, looking at it. I still think we have a period of looking at season 1 and what worked. I think the mindset we're in right now, looking at the feedback we're getting, is, I think, very positive, because I think we're now able to look at stuff that worked and discuss how we can make it even better. And we are also continuing the elusive targets for a while longer, so we're also playing around with that format. And then we'll get around to what the next season will be like, but we don't know yet.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
For more news and updates on Hitman, please check GameSpot.com.